Let's get back to that weather impact alert. Eduardo Garcia took these photos of a possible funnel cloud in northern Merced County. You see it there on your screen. We've even had tornado warnings for parts of the viewing area today. Monica was just on talking about the latest tornado warning.
And dramatic new images just into our newsroom from Oakdale. 2 people were hurt when the roof of this Cost Less store came down today. It caused a 20-foot hole in the ceiling right above the produce section. The store also got flooded and it'll be closed for some time.
We had heavy storms in Sacramento today as well. Thunder, lightning, and that hail. Yes, this happened around 11 this morning, right in the back parking lot of ABC10. And that's not all. A viewer shared video of hail on Greenback Lane and Auburn Boulevard. It almost looks like snow there on top of the flooded parking lot. Monica, a busy start to the week.
It certainly was. We were anticipating this as well on the air last night, talking about the widespread risk of thunderstorms throughout the valley, the coast, even into the foothills and the Sierra. Want to get back to that tornado warning that was issued just moments ago. This extends from parts of Stanislaus through Tuolumne County, where you can see until 5:30 we're going to run that risk of seeing a tornado or at least a funnel cloud. Now, here's the deal, just kind of backing up on how this all started to evolve. We had an area that was under a special weather statement. It was looking rather aggressive in terms of the rapidly developing situation on a very small line of storms. Once the National Weather Service started to assess more of the Doppler radar indication of some rotation, that's when they put out the warning on that particular line there, again extending until 5:30. So the deal is with this, anywhere in that region, you want to make sure that you're in the lowest level of your home. You want to be indoors. Make sure that anybody that you know that's in this area is indeed off the roads. They're inside, safe place until that 5:30 hour when this expires, or if it expires earlier. And we're going to keep you posted right here on ABC10 on what is developing right there. Want to go into our radar right now. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of turning it on its side so we can kind of get a 3D image of how the radar is scanning within that storm cell itself. And you can see the cloud tops right here extending upwards of 20,000 feet in the atmosphere, not quite to 30,000 feet. A storm in the Midwest, that would be 40,000+ feet in the atmosphere. But this is a decent enough storm for us. And we do have a little bit of a hook right there on the back edge of this. So there is some indication that we are getting that rotation coming into that storm. That's what the National Weather Service is looking at. Now, what's interesting about this area that has been so active for today is it's a coordination between not only the Sacramento office, which is covering all the way north up towards Butte County, but also Hanford. So it's right on the border. A lot of collaboration going on between the National Weather Service offices, trying to make sure that they keep everybody in the path, even though those zones, those regions are on the border there. They're collaborating and getting this warned storm out there for the tornado warning. That happened earlier today as well. Here's a look at the standard view, what we're used to, and this is the isolated line that we've been following here for about the past 15 minutes. Now, underneath this, we still have a special weather statement. So even though we don't have the tornado warning outside of this band, there's still been some very active weather. About penny-sized hail has been the average on that particular cell, but we have seen upwards of quarter-sized hail coming in for today. That's very large for this area. Also, multiple lightning strikes. Thunder roars, go indoors. You know the drill. Also, some ponding on the roadways. These are cells that are producing heavy rains of over an inch an hour falling in that line of storms moving through the northern San Joaquin Valley and parts of the mother lobe. I'll back it up just a little bit here, and we'll be able to see again the volumetric radar as well as where that tornado warning is. Again, that's in effect until 5:30. Now, I'm just going to have to scroll through some of these images here as we get back to our radar, because I want to take it north where we're looking at warned storm as well. Multiple lightning strikes just up to the north of Willows here, and you can see underneath just kind of that orange shaded area. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that right now is in effect for parts of Butte County. Just off to the south of Chico here and entering into Willow. So it's just almost to the border of where we would enter Colusa County. But again, that is an area that has been quite active. Wanted to put the perimeter of the park fire just so you can see how close some of that heavy rain is coming in. Now, the deal with this storm is it was not expected to reach the threshold, and there's a very distinct line of what the National Weather Service and also any of the coordination offices are going to look at in terms of the rain rates, how quickly they come in, what terrain it's hitting, will there be any debris flows or mudslides, and it was not anticipated that it would reach that threshold. But I did want to let you know at least where that burn scar is from the park fire and then some of the warned area, and it is just off to the west there, but multiple lightning strikes again coming in from that warmed storm. Now I will step off just for a moment so we can take a look at, I just wasn't sure. Okay, here's a look at the full radar. I wanted to give the scope of what we've been following for today, and north to south. I mean, look at this activity that we have been tracking here. Tornado warning in effect for Tuolumne and Stanislaus County. That will continue until 5:30, but it has been quite the active day, as Laura and Chris were mentioning here. Multiple lightning strikes, Folsom, El Dorado Hills getting some hail, as well as downtown Sacramento. I've been hearing from folks in Modesto and Groveland. Groveland getting some snow, Modesto getting hail as this line continues to press on through. I'm going to step off here just for a second so I can get back to the image to show you where that tornado warning is, again, in effect until 5:30. So these are the areas that you want to get indoors right through Tuolumne and Stanislaus County, kind of bridging that 132 line there along Highway 59, an area that we were actually tracking earlier today at about 2:45 till 3:15 when we had that funnel cloud spotted, and it was a warned area. Doppler indicated some rotation there, and indeed verified with a funnel cloud coming on through. So again, we are tracking this active weather as we make our way through the afternoon. Do you guys want me to keep on? I can keep on going through the images. I wasn't sure if Chris and Laura are going. Okay, let me just move on over to the radar then as we continue to track this particular line right here. Just trying to roll through some of these images here as we track this storm. Hopefully we'll be able to maybe show some of the funnel cloud activity and some of the hail as well, just to get a break here from the radar as we just track some of the action here coming through on and off through the valley, as well as the foothills, which has been particularly hard hit with some of the hail and the thunderstorms coming on through. So we're getting some of that video rolling up here so we can take a break from this, but I will go back and just show you. There we go. There's the funnel cloud that we were looking at earlier today. A very similar area to what we were seeing earlier this afternoon, right around the Mariposa, Merced, Tuolumne, Stanislaus County. This is what we were getting in earlier today. Okay, let's take a look at some of the hail as well, and these are some of the images and things that go along with severe thunderstorms when you get hail along with frequent lightning and wind gusts that have been over 40 miles per hour. Keep in mind, wind is going to be a part of this component as well coming into the forecast. So again, what we're the reason why we continue this coverage is the tornado warning that was issued moments ago for parts of Tuolumne and Stanislaus County, and it's in the red shaded area that we have right there. That will be in effect until 5:30 this afternoon. Looking at our radar associated with this, and pretty good cloud tops going on with this, multiple areas of some hail. Now what I'm noticing is, just even with the radar scans, that we are losing perhaps a little bit of the back edge of the rotation, but I'm still seeing just a little bit on the front end there. So it's still some inbound and outbound winds that are problematic and likely going to continue this tornado warning until 5:30. Maybe, do we have that? Brendan Minchep, my coworker, is helping me out here. My colleague meteorologist Brendan Minchep. So we're trying to get the 3D. We have the 3D volumetric, but we wanted to also show the rotation. So here's a little look, and if we can scan right through that storm, just kind of seeing some of the different heights on the cloud tops there. But that's the storm that we're looking at right there. And again, just kind of scanning through, you can kind of see how those cloud tops are changing ever so slightly. But yeah, if we want to just bring it back to that storm right there, that's what we were looking at in terms of the warned area. Let me go ahead and drive the radar just for a second, because it's hard to be up here and try to drive this right here. Okay, so I'm going to just walk you through this. It looks like we've got another possibly tornado warning, it looks like perhaps issued by Hanford.
Yeah, that one just came out of Hanford.
Okay,
Yeah.
so new tornado warning now issued out of Hanford. That's going to be on the south end right here. This will be in effect until 5:45. So I just want to get the latest on this as we look at this new one that is coming in. So this is in effect until 5:45. Again, Doppler indicated capable radar was indicating the potential for a tornado and funnel cloud 11 miles east of Turlock. So again, kind of the same area that has just been hard hit with these severe thunderstorm warnings as well as tornado warnings, flying debris potential. You want to get inside. Again, damage to roofs and windows, very possible, and vehicles as well. So you definitely don't want to be on the road with that one. So that is a look at that newest one. I just have to go ahead and save that image there. So the one on the north end, it looks like that likely will expire at 5:30. Yeah, the north end one near LaGrange, Montpelier, along 132, that's going to expire at 5:30. It's the southern end one that's going to go until 5:45. So I'll expand this view just a little bit, but in all actuality, where you kind of see the county lines there, that's about the line of demarcation of where we're looking at those two different warnings that are in effect right now. We'll take a look at that other one because we didn't really get a chance to look at that when I was up live. So what I need to do is just change my image there. This is the other one that we're looking at. So kind of seeing it's just off to the east of Livingston and to the north of Atwater. Let me zoom in a little bit here, just walking you through the process. Okay, so this is the one that also is showing some slight rotation just off to the east of Delhi. And as we move north, this one actually has much higher tops to it, which would be indications of a more volatile, potentially, storm that we're looking at.
And the interesting bit is these are actually two distinct
Yeah,
storms.
these are two. Brendan was just standing here next to me. These are two very distinct storms, two cells. As you could really see that on the 3D volumetric, where we've got the one cell right here that I'm zoomed in right now. That is the one that was warned earlier. And then if we look at this other one that's a bit smaller, that's the new one that was warned on. This is the one that I was looking for, the velocity. This is a tool that is quite helpful in determining, and I want to go back because I had this customized to what we were seeing earlier. We're looking at inbound and outbound, and I'll step in front of the wall here for a second as let me just see if we get, no, I'll just put it on right now. It's going to be a little bit hard to see on this one, but what we're looking at is the red and the green. The radar can indicate incoming and outbound wind and velocity, and when you start to see how those pixelations are starting to rotate around each other, that's when we really start to say, oh, whoa, there is inbound and outbound that's coming in that's showing the potential for rotation, thus a funnel cloud or possibly even a tornado. So those are some of the tools that the National Weather Service is using to indicate, okay, we're starting to see all things coming together that could be tornadic development. You always want to be ahead of that, right? You don't want to be on the back end of it. So they're looking at these things that are tools in the toolbox to say, okay, these elements are coming together to potentially warrant that tornado warning. So do we have, I just want to go back to that tornado warning just for a second there. There we go. So now we've got two different tornado warnings. The one on the front end, and you barely can make out just that little gray line in between the two different warned areas. There we go. Thanks, Brendan. So we've got the north end one that will expire at 5:30, so just in about 15 minutes. And then the south end one was issued just moments ago, in effect until 5:45. So again, all things considered, the bottom line here is you should be indoors anywhere in this area until we start to see some of this activity subside. So here's a look at the 3D volumetric. The one on the north end definitely looks a lot more impressive in terms of the cloud tops and the heights on this. When we look at the south end one, it's a little bit lower. That's not necessarily indicative of the rotation that's going on in the storm. It just, these can be to basically put it it's a very juicy storm. So there's a lot going on within the storm itself. The potential for some pretty decent hail coming in. If you think about a cloud top, if that little hail gets caught up and down in the draft, it's going to go up and down, and the higher and higher it goes, the more and more it's able to get bigger and bigger. So here's a look at that velocity. Again, we're looking for inbound and outbound, and when we see some of that rotation starting to come on through, that's when we start to get concerned, especially for funnel clouds. What do funnel clouds look like in our area? They tend to be on the lower scale of things, but that doesn't mean that they're not dangerous. I know that anybody that's moved here from the Midwest is probably thinking this doesn't feel like much, but we do get damage to roofs as well as small structures, any mobile homes, as well as vehicles. There's a lot of debris that could be flowing around. Those winds gusts can be upwards of 70 miles per hour. And we definitely want to be indoors. So we were able to take out some of the imagery here. You can see there's a little bit of hail. Yeah, that's a nice little hail streak right there coming on through. It's just that little streak, that little bubble of gray right there. And Brendan's waving to me, so I think he's got some more information. He's kind of driving the computer behind me and trying to get the latest information here.
Yeah, and I just want to add, again, this is great information. Just a little tidbit here. The radar that we're looking at these storms with is actually a lot closer to the Sacramento area. So we're looking very far away from the side of the radar, and this is important because the radar kind of shoots out in a straight line, a straight beam. So when we're talking about tornadoes, we're talking about, you know, low level rotation. That's where a tornado forms. And so we'll go back to velocity here real quick, and it just well, hold on, this is an outdated velocity, but the velocity even now just does not look that impressive. I mean, there's not well-defined rotation, not well-defined couplets, and that's because we're looking at the top of this storm. You know, we're looking 15,000 feet, exactly, plus the elevation factor there too. So, you know, it's, if this storm was closer to Sacramento and it had that rotation, we'd see it a lot better on radar. But Monica, this one does not look that impressive on radar just because it's so far away from the radar site itself.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of make out some of the pixelated images as well when we're dealing with radar, especially in our area, because of the elevation. If it is getting stuck by hilltops and mountains and things like that, it has a difficult time kind of processing all of the information. It's doing a great job, by the way, because again, some of the tools that the National Weather Service have are a little more fine-tuned than what we have available to us. But this is the area here, and I'll go ahead and just show you where that that warned area is right now. So tornado warning in effect. We've got it for Tuolumne and parts of Stanislaus County, and then just to the south end of that, we again had that extended tornado warning go into effect issued by the National Weather Service out of Hanford. So the one on the north was coordination efforts going on with the Sacramento office, and then the south end one is going to be issued out of Hanford. So it's been a very active day for all of the offices trying to coordinate many of the warnings that have been coming out. We had a tornado warning earlier today at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was very similar area right here. So again, this has been the area of convection and definitely the most favorable environment for some of the severe weather to be popping up. A look across the region, you can see multiple lightning strikes still occurring right now. We had earlier a severe thunderstorm warning up towards Butte County. That has since calmed down, but that cell is now pressing its way southward. So kind of an interesting rotation of this particular line moving its way southward along I-5, trying to make its way in towards the Williams area and crossing into parts of Colusa County. So we'll continue to watch that as even areas in the central Sacramento Valley are starting to become more active as well, with multiple lightning strikes just off to the east of Yuba City here, moving towards the Auburn area. Even in the 80-50 corridor, we've had some active weather, especially near Granite Bay. It was looking like we were getting some clouds that were trying to kind of pull their way down here towards Jackson. We're still looking at areas of lightning pulling out of the Mother Lode and the Gold Country there. But this is the area that we've been most concerned about actually for the past several hours, because we had that earlier warned storm on the tornado warning roughly about 3 o'clock. Generally in the same area, and then right around 5 o'clock we got that new warned storm coming out. Another one issued right after that. So 2 tornado warnings still in existence right now. One it will expire at 5:30. That's going to be on the north end here, and then the one on the south end that goes until 5:45. Again, just kind of spanning across a couple of counties throughout the day. Looking at Highway 59 and 132 as well. And Brendan's got some new information for me as well.
Yeah, and the storms that we've been following too have been popping up. So it's not like they've been tracking all across the valley. I mean, if we go back and look at this particular storm that was tornado warned, it just literally popped up and within about an hour becomes tornado warned. So once we get closer to sunset and we start losing the daytime heating and when that instability comes down a little bit, I would expect that we're going to stop seeing these thunderstorms popping up. So I would give it, I don't know, maybe another 90 minutes or so worth of thunderstorm chances here, Monica. But yeah, certainly these things are just popping. And as soon as they hit a little bit of that kind of upsloping terrain in the foothills, it seems like they start to spin.
And absolutely. And if you're just joining us right now, tornado warning issued for Tuolumne and Stanislaus County until 5:30. That's going to be on the north end. The south end, we've got the tornado warning in effect until 5:45. Anybody in the path of this should be indoors, off the roads. Make sure you're in a safe space. The safest space in a tornado warning is going to be the lowest elevation of your home. You want to make sure that you're in that safe space. If you don't have anything that is basement or anything like that, you just want to get into an interior space that is free from falling debris as well. And Laura and Chris, I think, have some more on some images that we got in from the earlier tornado warning issued.
So true, Monica. We want to thank Eduardo Garcia for sending in some photos of a possible funnel cloud. Now, this was in northern Merced County. You see it there off in the distance. Gives you an idea of what we've been seeing really across the region this evening. We've had those tornado warnings that we've been talking to you about throughout the show as well. But again, thanks to Eduardo Garcia for sending in these photos today.
Yeah, we have more dramatic videos into our newsroom here. A really extreme weather day for a vast amount of our region here. These are images out of Oakdale. We're told 2 people were hurt when the roof of this costless store came down today. You can see what a dramatic fashion that is, and you can see it's right above the produce section. This caused a 20-foot hole in the ceiling. Really dramatic images here. The store also got flooded, sadly, and will be closed at this point for some time.
Of course, we also had those heavy storms in Sacramento today as well. A lot of people have been talking about the thunder and lightning that we had with this, and then as well, the hail. We had this coming down right around 11 o'clock this morning in the back parking lot right here at ABC10 Studios. And that's not all. The viewer also shared some video of hail. This was on Greenback Lane. The interesting thing about this on Auburn Boulevard is that it almost looks like snow, doesn't it, there on that flooded parking lot. It just goes to show you how much hail came down earlier today here in Sacramento. And Monica, of course, is standing by as we are now tracking new tornado warnings.
Right. And so these were issued at about 5 o'clock earlier today. The one on the north side is going to be in effect until 5:30. The one on the south side, that's going to be in effect until 5:45. Anybody in the path, as we've been mentioning, you want to be inside, off the roads. No running errands or things like that. And if you know anybody that's out and about, want to make sure that they get indoors as soon as possible, just due to the rotation of a Doppler indicated funnel cloud and potential tornado. And that's why those tornado warnings will remain in effect until we start to see some of the quieter weather. Now, I've been mentioning that our 3D radar, very interesting to just kind of see the cloud tops and how they've been shifting throughout the course of how this has been evolving throughout the afternoon. Those cloud tops at about 20,000 feet. So there is a pretty decent looking storm out there in parts of Stanislaus and Tuolumne County. We've been getting indications of hail as well. These are very severe thunderstorms that have been rippling through parts of the northern San Joaquin Valley and the mother lode. Behind it, we still have that special weather statement in effect. Highway 59, 132, that's going to be the area that once again, just like earlier today at about 3 o'clock, when we had that earlier warned storm, we were looking at. We are starting to see some of the action come together as well along 162 and Highway 45 along I-5 near Williams. We'll continue to track that isolated area right there. Earlier, we had a special weather statement in effect. Oh, there it goes. So that is a special weather statement around that particular storm right there. So there we have it. There's some lightning associated with that. Now, the bigger picture certainly tells the story. We're still getting recent lightning happening just up the hill along Highway 50, headed towards Placerville, but Folsom, El Dorado Hills, Cameron Park. I know we're hearing the thunder and seeing some lightning strikes out there. You definitely want to keep it indoors right now. As we head towards the Mother Lode, San Andreas still seeing areas of lightning. Again, this has been a very active day. These are lightning strikes that are happening right now. You can see from our tower cams throughout the region with alert wildfire that in Williams we have those very dark clouds just off to the east here. We'll track that storm. Lots of low elevation snow. This is Los Molinos, and you can see some of the very dark clouds that are out there. When an environment looks like this and on a day that we've had such severe weather, you definitely want to keep it inside. And there's been a lot of rain. I wanted to definitely mention that we've had in those isolated cells some heavy downpours. So this is a very active environment as the low continues to press its way through. We have a lot of instability associated with this weather system that's been pulling through, giving us the colder punch of air. We already knew that this was going to be a pretty active day, widespread throughout Northern California, even into Central California. We've been seeing multiple warnings and watches issued as well. As far as the tornado warning, that will continue until 5:30 on the north side of things. And then, of course, we've got on the south side that additional warning that was issued during the afternoon. So this is where things stand right now. Tuolumne and Stanislaus County, that is going to continue until 5:30, but on the south side, we have that in effect until 5:45. So that's going to take us until about the next 13 minutes or so, at least for one of the warned areas. I know we're getting people joining in and out. I want to mention again, this has been a coordination effort between two national weather services, both Sacramento and Hanford, because this is going to span two different regions that they have to coordinate in terms of what they're seeing on both sides of their radar. The warned areas, anybody that's in the path of these, you want to be inside. There's lots of flying debris that's potentially around some of these rather active storms that have been moving through, and they're very isolated as well. This isn't widespread, long line cell activity. This is going to be very small. So it looks like they've now started to shrink some of the tornado warned area. My colleague meteorologist Brendan Minshep helping me drive the radar right here. I know there's not a lot of populated areas in this region, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't travel on those roads to get to and from, and you want to be off the roadways during this tornado warning. So the smaller area right here, that's our tornado warning in effect until 5:45. The one on the north side, Brendan, is that still just till 5:30? Yeah, he's saying yes. So the one on the north side is 5:30. So we just have about another minute or so to go until we bring down that threshold. That being said, it's still very active. Multiple lightning strikes as well as hail that has been noted on the line of this storm as it's been coming on through. Anybody that's been driving through it for today knows it is quite dangerous to be driving in some of these thunderstorms with the heavy rain. Your windshield wipers can't even catch up. The icy roads due to the hail that's accumulating on the side. We had viewers send in some of the accumulated hail from earlier today near Greenback Lane, where it almost looked like it was snow that was piled up because it was just so much in a short period of time. It melts quickly, but while it's going on, it is quite dangerous. Here's a look at that radar again. Here's a look at the thunderstorm, and what you'll notice right here, these little gray images, they kind of look like eyeballs on that particular shot there, but that's indications of hail. We have heard of it as big as quarter size, but the special weather statement was saying more in the range of penny size. Okay, so it looks like the Tuolumne tornado warning is now going to expire. I think our time clock is just catching up to that right there. So there we have it. Tornado warning has expired for Tuolumne and Stanislaus County, and then the one that is under the Hanford office is going to continue until 5:45. So just are we continuing to broadcast right now, Michelle. Okay, so we're going to continue to stay on here. I need to step off just to get some information on this one because I have been on the air the entire time. So let me just step off the screen here and get some information on this one that came on through, and I gotta recalibrate myself here.
Yeah, and again, so this is now mostly out of our viewing area at this point, and this is a pretty rural area, as we saw. We just put the tracker up there, and you didn't see anything on the tracker come up. Maybe, I don't know, if we can pull up CG6 for a second here, if that's possible. Not sure. I'm going to go stand over there anyway. But yeah, definitely tracking this tornado warning that still continues down now south of Highway 132. And this continues for the next 14 minutes until 5:45. There was quarter-sized, penny-sized hail potential with the storm, but I will say, having checked all of the data with that storm and how the radar looks at this point, it does look like it's weakening fairly significantly at this point, but still there is some of that low-level rotation there with that storm. And I was talking earlier about how much longer we have with these thunderstorms. Taking a look at Futurecast here, this is about 7 o'clock, so we still have, over the next 90 minutes or so, we still have some thunder in the area. You see the model picking up on some stuff near Auburn, Placerville, some more near Jackson, and generally Sacramento Valley as well up near Williams. So still looking at about another hour to hour and a half of the thunderstorm potential here, but by the time we get to about 8, 9 o'clock, then things really start to taper off pretty quickly. And again, that's because we're going to lose that instability that's really generated, or at least helped along in these situations by the sun. So again, another hour to maybe 2 in terms of this thunderstorm threat here that we're looking at across Northern California. But again, that tornado warning is still in effect for the Hanford office, I believe. Yes, it is.
It's Hanford, and as far as what we have seen about 3/4 inch hail in and around that area. So for parts of Mariposa, Tuolumne, and Merced County. So again, it's just a little bit out of our viewing area just to the south here, but we have been tracking this throughout the course of the day. So we're going to continue to follow this here until 5:45. It's about 8 miles off to the southwest of LaGrange, which certainly we broadcast there. So flying debris and being prepared with this severe thunderstorm that has the potential of producing a funnel cloud or a tornado. As far as the radar and satellite, you can see the area right there, and there's that tiny little cell. That's what we've been watching over the past hour and a half or so as it started to develop. We've seen some pretty decent hail from this. So what Brendan did is he just kind of zoomed in on that tiny little cell that was part of the warned area just off to the south of Stanislaus County right now. Earlier we had that one in effect for Stanislaus County, and then this started to move its way southward here. And again, it's very interesting because once it does that, it starts to move from region to region. So our regional National Weather Service offices have to shift hands on who is going to be the coordinating office there. So that's going to be the responsibility of Hanford now. We've been seeing frequent lightning in that, gusty winds, as well as heavy rain and some hail that is coming through as well with that particular cell. Looking at, are we going to stay on this weather system right now? Yeah.
Can we go back to CG5 here?
Could we go? I don't know. Can we go back to CG5 right now? Just okay. There we go. I know it's gotta make sure our systems are all talking to each other. So here's a look at the tornado warning right now. And again, this is the one that was issued shortly after the one that was issued earlier, just up to the north in Tuolumne and Stanislaus County. So this is going to be Merced, Mariposa, and Tuolumne that we're looking at extending along Highway 59. I know it's been an active day for you folks that live there. We had the tornado warning issued earlier today. We had that great funnel cloud that we were able to get a picture of in that area. A lot of folks that were driving along Highway 49 and 132, just like looking off in the distance and seeing those very ominous looking clouds, as well as that funnel cloud, and hoping that you all got off the roads, got indoors, because flying debris certainly a possibility of causing some damage as well as personal harm as well. So I want to be indoors. You want to be at the lowest lying place possible. And a lot of us don't have basements in California, so we just want to be in an interior space. Make sure that you are away from any windows as well, because of any flying debris that could certainly cause some damage. We've seen some at times in Northern California where that has certainly happened. A lot of roof tiles pulled off and things like that. These aren't hugely populated areas, but again, they do cross some roadways that people travel to and from, especially at this point in the late afternoon and early evening, that will continue to be impacted by not only the possibility of a tornado, but also some heavy rain, frequent lightning. Lightning also one of a top killer of weather-related killers in the United States. So lightning, very, very dangerous. It can travel several miles, and thunder roars, you want to go indoors. And that's what we've been seeing for today, especially under this particular line here. You can see it's just now starting to come down just a little bit here in terms of the activity, but there's a look at the hail line that we were seeing embedded within that particular cell right there. That's just up. You can see how it's kind of moving up to the north and east here. It is traveling towards 132, so we are going to see some heavy rain periodically embedded with this storm, as well as the frequent lightning and, of course, the hail that has been noted by Doppler radar as well. A little bit farther to the south, they've had an inch diameter size hail. So these storms have been popping up not only in Northern California, but all the way through Central California as well. We saw this yesterday. We knew that this was going to be quite an active day for us, stretching not just in isolated areas, but really the Storm Prediction Center was putting out a pretty wide scope of where we were going to have the risk of seeing those thunderstorms for today. And that extended from the coast through the mountains and then north and south through California. So underneath that is where we have that tornado warning that we're continuing to broadcast for you here. That goes into effect. That is in effect right now. Mariposa, Merced, and Tuolumne counties until 5:45. Basically due to the rotation potentially that could occur from that line of storms that we've been tracking. I really did like that latest image that we just saw right there, indicating some of the hail that we've been seeing, as well as the frequent lightning. This cell looks much more impressive than, say, what we were seeing earlier, but you can see some to the south of us as well. It's just a matter of if radar will indicate some rotation within those storms. This is about what it's been looking like on and off throughout the day. Keep in mind, we have that time change, so we get an extra hour of daytime heating, which happens to aid in the instability of the atmosphere, kind of gives the lift going, one of the mechanisms that we need for those tornadoes to develop. So we're at that time of year where these just tend to linger a little bit deeper. Sunset not until about 7:15. So we still have about roughly an hour and a half or so until we get a little bit lower threshold of bringing some of the active weather into the environment and that instability as well. We go back to the tornado warning. That's why we're joining you right now, kind of cutting into world news because of an area that is under the most severe type of warning that we have from the National Weather Service. This being issued by the Hanford office, covering Mariposa, Merced, and Tuolumne counties. The one that we had earlier this afternoon has since expired. So we are seeing these kind of come and go, but keeping a watchful eye on many areas throughout our region deep into the afternoon and evening. This little cell here that was moving through Williams, still producing some frequent lightning, which is pretty interesting at this point. But again, we go back to this area that was indicating some rotation there. We'll put this into motion, and you can see how it just really picked up steam very quickly. In about a matter of 15 minutes, it went from a special weather statement, which was indicating a pretty good likelihood we were going to see frequent lightning, some heavy rain, as well as some heavy, some gusty winds. And then shortly thereafter, looked like we were getting some rotation going on with that storm, and it quickly became a tornado warned line of storms. Two different cells that were kind of producing that potential rotation there. And quite frankly, that has been the area that has been the most active for tornado warnings as well. For today, we had one that was earlier as well. A little closer to the capital city, still getting frequent lightning as well. Just north of Auburn, we had frequent lightning coming in the 80-50 corridor closer to Roseville and Folsom. That's starting to quiet down right now, but it's just been the reoccurrence of those cells reforming. Again, we have an extra hour of daylight helping with the instability. We had the wake of that cold front moving through. As we move our way back south here, we'll just view some of the other regions that are being impacted by the lightning just south of Jackson to the east of Rancho Calaveras. That cell has been developing within the last 15 minutes or so. Parts of the Central Valley clearing out, but I would say don't put your guard down yet, because we have seen periods of clearing, and then all of a sudden we're right back at it with more thunderstorms, frequent lightning, as well as the potential for tornado warnings. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. An area that was earlier warned at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now another cell redeveloping with the potential for rotation indicated by Doppler radar, and we are right back at it again until 5:45. So again, this was a very similar area to what we saw earlier today. My colleague, meteorologist Brendan Minchef, here with me, and he's kind of getting the guidance on what the latest is as well.
Yeah, and we're just a few minutes away from what will likely be the expiration of that tornado warning. But I want to come back to a point that Monica had just said a few minutes ago, and that is the clearing, right? We had that original tornado warning. It was about, 3:10, I think it was, this afternoon. And then we had a kind of a lull in activity for the next roughly 45 minutes or so. But that lull in activity, that clearing, actually has helped us to spawn the next round of storms, including the one that's producing that tornado warning right now. And that's, again, because of that sunshine, right? You get a little bit of that clearing, a little bit of that heating that helps boost the instability and fire off some of these storms. So I'll go zoom back in on this tornado warning. That's the one that we're most concerned about right now. But certainly, if you're to the east of Sacramento, if you're off to the northeast, the Lincoln area, Auburn, working up towards Wheatland, I mean, you're certainly getting a lot of rain, some frequent lightning as well. None of this is severe at this point, and I will say we now have a new special weather statement coming in, so give us 1 second, we'll get the latest on that. But certainly, yes, there is some heavy rain. This is for Colusa and Glenn counties up here where we have the new, there it is, the new SPS. And this is a pretty decent looking storm.
There's the Willows one, and this is what we're expecting. This one has been holding together pretty well. Earlier, this cell was just a little bit farther to the north. It was part of a cluster that was also producing a severe thunderstorm warning that was up towards Butte County. But here we go. This special weather statement. This is how, by the way, the last one started off. That is now a tornado warning, just to let you know how quickly things can develop. But that's along I-5. Very, very busy road at this time in the late afternoon and early evening as folks are heading in and out of the capital region here. So this is going to be a very dangerous situation there along I-5. Lots of frequent lightning, hail. Here you can see, if you just, what's that, half an inch? If you, Brendan, if you can just pause it right there to the now instead of the looping. What I want to show you right here, he knew exactly what I was going to look at. Look at this hail that's falling right along I-5, Interstate 5 right now, getting this band of half-inch hail falling on a major interstate with frequent lightning and heavy rain. That is going to be some dangerous driving. I'm hopeful that people are pulling off to the side, because that is not a situation you want to be driving in right now. It's a little bit farther for some of the more busy communities. The big concern is the volume of traffic that is going along that road right now as it moves its way southward here. So again, not hugely populated areas right here, but this has been moving its way southward steadily, meaning that everybody that's kind of northbound on I-5 heading right into the path of this particular storm right there. It will move its way southward again. We'll follow that one as we're edging towards the end of the 5:45 expiration. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this. We'll stay on this for about the next 15 minutes or 15 seconds or so, 30 seconds, as this continues to showcase just that tornado warning still in effect until 5:45. If we just want to go back to that, Brendan, just until we are at that expiration time frame, I did want to just follow that right now just to make sure that it does indeed expire. You didn't see an extension or anything, right? Okay, it's looking pretty flat right now, so it's very likely as we hit that 5:45 time frame, we should see that expire. Our system is a little bit behind on the timing there, just by a couple of seconds or so. So it does take just a second or so to catch up to the actual time that you're seeing there at the bottom of your screen. So there you go. So the tornado warning has expired at the time frame 5:45. And we've got more active weather that we're going to track. So we'll toss it back over to Chris and Laura.
Okay, Monica, we thank you for that. It has been an active weather day, and we've been tracking it all for you. We've been getting pictures and video of some of the things that people have been experiencing across the region. I want you to take a look at these images. Eduardo Garcia took these photos of what appears to be a possible funnel cloud. This is in northern Merced County. Of course, we've been tracking those 2 tornado warnings this evening for quite some time as well.
Yeah, viewers really helping tell the weather story going on throughout our region right now. A very active day. We're seeing all different types of weather. Now here in Oakdale, these dramatic images, 2 people were told were hurt when the roof of this costless store came right down today. It caused a 20-foot hole in the ceiling right above the produce section. You can just see the weight of that roof crushing down into the store. And we're told the store also got flooded. You can see some of that there at the bottom of your screen. And we're also told that this store will be closed, as you can imagine, for some time now.
And if we can stay on those images, you just think about this happening during the day, right? In the middle of the day, in the afternoon, where people were perhaps going to grab items. And there you see some of the first responders who were there dealing with this incident. Of course, it has been a very active weather day really across the region. And as you see some of the additional pictures that are coming in, you see people with their baskets there really struck by what they were experiencing. We're not certain exactly what caused this roof collapse. Of course, it has been one of those days where we've been dealing with heavy winds, heavy rain. We've had these funnel clouds spotted across the region. And of course, we're also tracking the 2 tornado warnings that expired just in the last minute or so. And so as we work through some of the things that folks are seeing across the region, be sure to send in your photos and pictures. Do it safely as well, though, of course, because as Monica was mentioning, the hail that people are experiencing on I-5, even as we speak, you can imagine is going to be something that folks are going to be talking about. You also want to make sure that you can check in on your loved ones, perhaps the elderly or those who may be alone during this time. It can be a very scary time for people as they work through something that we've been warning about for quite some time. We've had our weather impact alerts in place telling people that today was going to be indeed quite the active weather day.
Yeah, springtime, you know, we're just counting down to the official start of spring on Thursday, and it really brings with us, as we're learning from our weather team, a lot of variety of different kinds of weather. And about the hail, that coming down so quickly, making for icy conditions. And then also we can see this live look outside over downtown Sacramento. Gray skies, clouds covering the area. And if you've been driving miles throughout our region, you've been seeing different shadings of the clouds moving in and out, and wind and debris as well. And we're also tracking, you know, snow in the Sierra, still some icy roads up there as well. So everyone, please be safe. If you know anyone in the areas that are in line of sight for potential tornadoes or in the warnings and heavy gusts of wind, please remind them to take shelter. Monica was saying be away from windows, be down on the lower levels, and be safe. Just warning everyone that you know, as you're watching this, as we're cutting into World News to bring you extended coverage of this extreme weather that we're covering today. We want to ask Monica some questions here if she has some chance to. To reset here. As this situation has been changing here, what are you seeing right now? We know that 1 warning has expired at 5:30. Right now, 1 might have just expired too, or has that been extended? The one in Hanford?
So the 2 tornado warnings have expired. So we're out of the risk zone for that. But the one that we're continuing to track is just going to be this special weather statement. The only reason why I point that out in particular is because it is producing quite a bit of heavy rain, frequent lightning, as well as hail that's falling on I-5, a very busy road this time of night as we start to edge towards kind of the late afternoon, early evening. A lot of commuters use that road up and down, getting to and from either, you know, even from the airport, but it's a big road traveled by a lot of trucks as well. Carrying goods, so a lot of semi tractor trailers moving in along I-5. So that's kind of the isolated area that I'm tracking. Truth be told, this is really expanding. Quite a bit of some isolated cells expanding throughout parts of the capital region. As we zoom in a little bit closer along I-5, so this has been moving off to the south here. Here you can see that isolated cell right there that's moving generally south towards Williams along I-5. Frequent lightning, as I mentioned, a lot of hail embedded there. So just to the south of Willows, extending along I-5 towards Colusa, so now pushing into Colusa County. Earlier, it was in Butte County, kind of the most active areas, but Brendan and I, my colleague, were keeping a close eye on Williams. We just thought that it just looked like those storms were really starting to pick up steam. And as they have done so, along I-5, the National Weather Service now issuing that special weather statement. Also keep in mind that the tornado warnings were first issued as the special weather statement and then quickly got elevated to the most severe type of warning that is issued by the National Weather Service. We talk a lot about the different levels of the alerts that are issued. An advisory is be prepared. A watch is be aware. And then when it's a warning, that means it's time. You need to already have those preparations made. So in an environment like this, you just maybe want to check your travel plans and perhaps delay some of those. So here's a look at those weather alerts just to kind of refresh our memory here. So an advisory, that is going to indicate be aware, watch, be prepared, and then warning is, again, time to take action. So we've had those tornado warnings, the most severe type and highest type of warning that is issued by the National Weather Service. So very active and, as I like to call it, juicy environment. We're going to continue to track this. Laura and Chris have more now.